The Kankakee River flows southwestwards for over 130 miles.
Hey, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Live with Spirit Recon on the Afterlife Network. I'm Fred Scheidenberger, founder, Spirit Recon, and the host of the show tonight. Hop in chat and let me know you're here, and let me know we're live. Please share if you can. Hang in there a second as I share. Guys, we've got a pretty neat show for you tonight. I'm pretty excited. Never done this before. Should have done it, but haven't done it. Haven't done it yet. We are going to look at the story behind Spirit Recon. All right. Again, share out to your pages. I'm sharing to my home channel right now. So again, welcome to the show. Fred from Spirit Recon, right here, Route 66, Wilmington, Illinois, just south of Chicago, in the heartland of the United States. Again, welcome to the show. Tonight, guys, we are going to take a look at the history behind Spirit Recon and meet some of the team members that have made this the adventure and the journey that it's been, and meaningful for most of us that have been involved. Give me a sound check when you can. Let me know you can hear me. All right, so guys, I was born in Indiana. I'm an Indiana boy. Been in Wilmington about a decade. Cornfield, raised near cornfields over in middle Indiana. Pretty much like the town of Wilmington, Illinois, except right across the border. Moved here about 10 years ago, and that's where this journey began for me. About 5 years ago, I began, due to the loss of a family member, I began as a hobby, basically, ghost hunting, so to speak. The taking of equipment and myself out to haunted locations, or, hey, Carol, taking myself out to haunted locations and cemeteries mostly at that time, and recording the data that I could find, if any. And thus began my paranormal journey. Basically, it was just I wanted to see, were the shows that we saw on TV, were they reality? Was this real? Was it, I realized it was TV, but was the thesis of it, was the theory of it real, something that really was happening? So I grabbed some equipment, I got out, and I studied at a couple local cemeteries. I spent time in 2 or 3 of them. One of the cemeteries, I began to receive EVPs almost every time I went. EVPs are electronic voice phenomena. So things that I didn't hear while I was there, but things that were clearly on tape. I also at this time had been smart enough, I guess, to use a digital recorder and a video recorder. So as I was getting these EVPs, I was pretty sure I was picking this up because I had two copies of it, and to me that kind of made it even stranger. So I took this information, and basically I didn't know what was going on. I was walking the same path at the cemetery. I was receiving voices almost every time, and they were the same voices, appeared to be. They sounded the same most of the time, but it did sound like maybe it could be 2 voices, but it was the repetitiveness of it. They'd say hi, they'd say it's him, which to me was intelligent, things like that. so many EVPs that I finally charted them in the cemetery as a map, so I could see if there was a pattern or a grave site that they were that these voices were marking somehow. And in that, I found to be an area, you know, a general hotspot and a place where I could leave a digital recorder all night. So that's what I did. I left at 6 o'clock at night, picked it up at 6 in the morning, and received an EVP in the middle of the night that was it was crazy and disturbing at the same time. But basically, it was sound of gunshots, toy guns, not real guns, toy guns. Definitely 90s, early late 80s and early 90s toy guns, um, and then the voice of a, a kid or something saying, "Oh, you killed me, you kill me." And guys, I'll never forget the my heart as I listened to the EVP. It was probably 3 in the morning when I heard this. I had to listen to the whole 12 hours. Nobody had walked up, nobody had touched it, nobody. I've debunked. There was no activity in there near the recorder while I was away from the cemetery. Uh, you can clearly hear footsteps coming and going, so it would have been impossible for anything to get to this. So I was right away pulling to a guy's grave, a kid's grave that had actually died in the 90s, I think. And this opened up through Google and checking and researching. This opened up a case where two local boys had passed away. Not only did they live near the cemetery, one was buried there, as I spoke of, um, they also played near the cemetery and had passed away near the cemetery. None of this I knew, of course, but long story short, I was able to gather all this information and make contact and assume that I had verified that these spirits of these boys were possibly still playing out in this location. It wasn't a year later, and I jumped forward to when we did our second public event as Spirit Recon is to fund repairs to the Historical Society here in Wilmington. A young lady, as I told that story, started to cry, and I asked if I needed to stop, and she said, "No, continue." And she said that she was related or a friend. She was tight, real tight with the family and of these boys, of one of the boys, and that these guys had left home that night playing war. Now, that's chilling enough. She told the story in front of about 30 people. It's chilling enough that I captured the gunshots and them playing, acting this out, and that's came from her as validation. This is 15 years before I moved to town. What's crazy is if you read the police reports, they assume the boys went fishing because that's what they usually did, and but no fishing poles were ever found. So the a really crazy story for me personally. I know that I interacted day after day with those boys at the cemetery, and they were really my first paranormal encounter. Set the stage for what was yet to come. I then ventured into Wilmington, the town of Wilmington, Illinois. And basically talking to them about their experiences, I started gathering research at these haunted locations. I was able, I believe with my research, I have captured, basically that's where the name at first Spirit Recon was, reconnaissance really. I didn't build relationships as much. I was out capturing that data and studying it, capturing data, studying it. I'd use the data to try to capture better data, but I really wasn't working on relationships with the spirits, so to speak. I didn't really quite know how to do that. But for almost 2 years, I studied the downtown of Wilmington, Illinois. I investigated over 10 buildings downtown, and we're going to talk about a few of them here. I've discovered light anomalies, voice anomalies, shadow figures, partial apparitions. We've run across about everything, even vortexes. I believe that I've documented vortexes or a few vortexes. Um, the amount of the level of hauntedness in Wilmington has, it's crazy. I studied it for 2 years. I've got hard drives full of video, full of audio that's unaltered and raw. We did our homework. We were in investigation. I was sucking in the information um, as best I could. And we're going to learn more about those buildings, guys. And we're going to talk about in further episodes. We're going to talk to some business owners and hear these stories and dive deeper into those paranormal events and happenings one by one. But tonight we want to give you a general overview of Spirit Recon as a group and as a team, and how we developed and got to where we're at, and how we it's part of how we progress from here. So right now our story changes, and I'm gonna bring in my friend, my best buddy here. I'm gonna unmute you. You ready there, partner? All right, I'm gonna bring you in here. We welcome to the stream my best friend Jake Rodriguez.
How's it going, everybody? How's it going, Fred?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for coming on and talking.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Hey, we're a team. We have been. I don't know. Could you hear me in the background as I was talking?
Yeah, I could hear you talking. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I heard what you were discussing a little bit.
Cool. So I kind of told him where I got started, and then to add to the story, I thought I'd bring you in and I'll fill in from here. But as I'm investigating downtown Wilmington and growing as an investigator, I found out about an Ashmore Estates event here in Southern Illinois with Nick Groff tour. I found out about it late one evening, about 7 o'clock. I go to bed that night and I pop up, dude. You should have seen me. I popped up and I said, I got to go to this. I got to go to Ashmore Estates. And my wife's looking at me like, what's the Ashmore Estates? And I said, I'll tell you about it later. I'm going to Ashmore Estates. And she's like, and I thought I was going to meet Nick Groff and get his autograph, and that was cool. But what I was really going was to meet you, and I didn't know it, but I did know it. And I'm learning, I'm sensitive to those things, but I did know that I had to go. And that's where our story meets up, because you had bought your ticket long ago and you were sitting with your ticket.
Yeah, I was sitting for a minute, and I never done anything really to that extent, so I was really kind of just jumping out on a limb there and kind of put myself out there as far as wanting to experience things and kind of talk about my own experiences. So I mean, like you, I had to go. It was more of like a last minute thing, kind of, oh, this is that. Oh, I got to get to this. It'll be the first time I've ever done anything like this, and it was just more of like I had to get to this Ashmore Estates. It wasn't too far from the house or anything like that, so definitely the drive wasn't killing me or anything. But there was just something about Ashmore Estates that I knew was going to turn out to be something spectacular,
Yeah, and it's not like me. I'm not. I went there by myself. You went there by yourself, and I don't think it's like either of us. I mean, we're friendly, nice guys, but we're kind of to ourselves, especially at first.
Kind of. We did. Yeah.
Personality to I kind of approached you. I was like, "Hey, where are you from?" And then you.
Right.
The time we went outside, and I said, "Hey, well, you can come down to Wilmington if you're only an hour away." So.
Yeah.
It was kind of.
I definitely seen the eagerness to reach out, and I was definitely pretty eager to reach out. And seeing you standing there, I was like, man, perfect timing. Let's just get together right then and there. We started talking and hit it off right away.
Yeah, and it was like it's like a roller coaster ever since, because it never stopped and it never hiccup. It's like we've known each other for 30 years.
Absolutely.
So we meet up, and I bring you to Haunted Wilmington, and we went downtown that day, and we went to Historical Society. So we checked out 4 or 5 different. That's considered 4 or 5 different buildings downtown, and then the Historical Society 6. What's your first impressions when you got here, and you remember some things that happened that day? I remember a couple things.
Yeah, I mean, the first time coming to Wilmington, driving into Wilmington, it's a heck of a scenery. You know, you're coming in there along the river, especially the way that I come in. So I knew I was in for something. You know, there was something good in store. And just coming into the town, you just see the old features, the old buildings. All the layout is completely different. I mean, the downtown is pretty much antique-ish, every building. So it was phenomenal. You know, I knew I was in store for something amazing. And when you definitely showed me the building and told me everything about the history from the bricks, how things were made from the old quarry mine, used a lot of that extra, you know, thing as a material they pulled out of the quarry there. And, you know, you told me it ran me down a lot of that history, and I was just blown away by it right offhand.
Yeah, and then I think we were downtown somewhere. You were touched. I think maybe the Historical Society or the.
Well, I know downtown in the Historical Society, the first thing I remember was opening that cabinet. I remember going in there. We were downstairs, and there's a cabinet that has a bunch of Native American artifacts, and it has that stuffed bobcat. And it's kind of just standing up, prowling, you know.
Yep.
And I remember opening that. There's something telling me I had to open that case. I don't know why. And I'm really keen to Native American things as well, so I opened it, and that's when we seen this bellowing, whatever you want to call it, a mist or some sort, kind of just bellowing out of there. And that was my first experience right off the bat getting into this society. I was blown away. I was told right then and there. You know, I totally knew what you were talking about right then and there.
Yeah, it was kind of weird to see you experience it so quickly. I guess maybe you were drawn to that cabinet again. Doesn't it seem like now that we sit back and look at it, it almost seems like it was drawn together.
Right.
As we get farther into this, and I've got Jen Ritter down here in backstage. As it draws farther, it's almost like these interactions had to happen. It's a weird path. And I think I maybe finally understand my journey a little bit better. But we started investigating. We've had some public events to help raise money. We've not only done stuff in this community, we've done stuff in your community, and we've traveled to Malvern Manor together, and
that was amazing.
Hunted with Johnny Hauser and the guys up there. So probably what's your favorite memory of what we've done together at this point, and what's your biggest? First of all, do you want to tell them a little bit of your history background, or
I got into paranormal just simply out of my own experience here with, my PTSD and my combat experience and stuff like that. Kind of led me down a dark road, and it was in that path that I came across paranormal. You know, I was lying in a hospital bed, I couldn't move, and I had the guy next to me came rolling into my room, and he could barely walk. He was in a wheelchair. I'm in a spinal unit, so I'm a paraplegic, walking paraplegic. So I was on a spinal unit. None of us could walk. I was probably one of the only ones. This man rolled himself into my room and kept saying he seen a light on my head. I had no idea what he was talking about at all. There was no light there, obviously. The guy ended up passing away a couple of days later. So that kind of just stuck with me. You know, he wasn't in the room next to me anymore. He wasn't rolling by every day. That kind of stuck with me. I'm like, well, maybe this guy was seeing something because he was on his way out, you know, and maybe that's something that we have the ability to do maybe at those times in our life. So I started asking myself question after question, just laying there, not being able to move. I had a computer the Bears football team actually donated to me that I could use while I was in the spinal unit. So I was using this computer to just look things up. And that's when I started looking up anything paranormal I could possibly think of, just based off my own experiences, my own afterlife experiences as well. I mean, I've had some pretty weird things happen when I was pretty much down and out. I wasn't going to make it at all. You know, I'm laying in a hospital bed. They told my mom, you know, say your goodbyes and whatnot. I ended up making it through that. And it was in that time where I had some pretty gnarly experiences, like a pulling. It was like I was being pulled somewhere and I was going somewhere and I was somewhere, but I wasn't allowed to see. I wasn't allowed to hear, but I could feel. It wasn't that I was in heaven or I was in hell. I just had an overwhelming sense of peace. You know, but I knew that I wasn't anywhere in particular. I could hear everybody talking. I could hear other people talking. My mom says there was a ton of people in the room, so maybe it was that. But I mean, the feeling that I felt and the place that I felt that I was at was a glimpse of a second, but it felt like it lasted forever. And that's the feeling that I'm chasing forever. And now that I have felt that, and I know I've experienced it, I'm never going to let it go, you know, and that's where we come into play here. And that's how I've met you.
Yeah. And me having that first intense experience, after the death of a family member, and then it just kind of turned the wheel all the way around for me. And then, like I said, I jumped up out of bed that day and I got to go to Nick Groff. And I think it was
Yeah.
we were so Wilmington, what's your favorite part of the interaction? What's your favorite part about hunting down here and the interactions and what we do?
Well, man, the communication's key down there. Obviously, we get a lot of visual stuff and everything like that. But I mean, we got a lot of stories to tell. We got a lot of people down there who want to tell stories, speaking of spirits and whatnot. So, I mean, communication is by far anything that we have as far as IT. I mean, anything we have to communicate. You know, we do EVPs. We sweep. You know, we use our radio frequencies and whatnot. And just trying to just patch together the stories, the history. And that's what it's all about for me, is the history, and getting down and finding out stories and trying to see if we can collaborate with anybody in town who might know any of the history beyond us. You know,
Yep.
that's where my passion lies.
And I agree. And that's exactly where the story was heading. And that's why you're in it. And there's other people that are involved in this that we're not going to see tonight and talk to. Mary Marshall, but she's going to be a guest on the show here soon. And Mike Murphy. You're going to hear that stories and how they weaved into this. Tonight it's an overview. And we've got a lot of the team members on tonight. So, but that's when it became me and you, then it became personal, because I don't know, it's just the way it went, and it became personal relationship. We were building relationships with these spirits. Not only were we doing reconnaissance and getting data that maybe showed paranormal, we were able, like you said, to interact and to verbally communicate sometimes right with the spirit. How many times have you said something out of your mouth and had a spirit in Wilmington through a spirit box or EVP say something back? Crazy, huh? Yeah, it's
the office in the Historical Society for sure. That's probably where we get the best communication.
Yeah,
and it would be in the back office there.
And you know what? There is that brings up a good point, because the power circuits are in there, so the circuit breakers for the building are in there. We don't tamper with those; everything's off anyway, so we really don't mess with those. But I guess it could be a power source for what, right? And if there's a vortex nearby and you got a power source, you're going to have heavy flow of spirit communication. And you're right; it's the most intelligent, intense, on the spot communication for me personally that I've ever experienced. So, let me get a drink here. What was I going to ask you? With the we've traveled a bit. Where we go, Malvern. We've gone to a couple of places. We went up and worked with Aaron Shriver with Hunt.
Yeah, I went to Renwick Mansion up over in Iowa. That was pretty cool. That's where we first met Madison and all them.
Yep. So we have got to travel a bit. We've been blessed with that, and thanks to our families for letting us go do that.
Right.
So let me drink here, guys. And I've got two more in chat here, so let's go ahead and pop in. Jen, you about ready for us? She can hear you. Okay, she can hear me. So as the story continues, again, to shorten it up, and we're going to delve more into these stories, but after we got rolling for a couple of years there, then you got a phone call from me, and it wasn't such a bright phone call. I found out I'd gotten cancer, and we kind of had to put this thing on a screaming halt.
We have, yeah, for sure. And we still haven't really done a whole lot since,
Right.
The corona came up and all that stuff. So unfortunately, we've had to kind of sit back like everybody else.
So we kind of hit the screaming halt. Although the support from the community was great, and we've kept in touch with live interviews and podcasts, video logs, or whatever we call them, during that time. And the outreach and support for me and the group has been intense. And we thank everybody for that. So that brings me up to, I don't know who's got the cat in chat here. I can hear it now.
Yeah, she's over here meowing at me.
Yours?
I'm not paying attention. Not paying attention to her. She's pretty needy.
I got two asleep on the bed here, so they may wake up. Yeah, maybe a cat show here in a second. But so that brings us after I got well and got well enough to go back out. I couldn't quite. I wasn't quite up to investigation speed, but I was able.
No, yeah, right, yeah.
I was able to make a friend, and through Spirit Recon channel again, this woman was led to reach out to me through our channel, which we would never started if it wasn't for you and you know for me and then you and so we welcome Jen Ritter to chat, and she'll be on in just.
Hi, John.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Oh, good, thanks. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
So, guys, Jen, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
I get to play with 3 people in the feed here. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is cool. So, Jen came. We've worked with people with sensitivities before, Jake. We worked with Mary Marshall. We worked with some other people, but we really never had a constant team member or somebody. You know, we're kind of learning our sensitive side. It was kind of newer for us. When I met Jen, I knew that she had been in touch with her sensitive side. It isn't always good. I understand that, Jen, but
yeah,
that you had been in touch with it a little longer than we had, us two. So I knew right away. Well, we hit it off too as friends. So you were engrossed in the history, and I was engrossed in your stories, and basically it kind of started because you were able to ask me some questions, and I was able to and show validation. I actually had some data to back up some things that you had told me right off the bat.
Right, and that was super helpful to me because I remember when I came to you, and I found out about Spirit Recon, and I'm like, just on a whim, let me talk to this guy. And I'm like, hey, I need some help. I need to know, am I crazy? Or am I picking up on something here? So yeah, you guys helped me a lot with that.
Right. And thus in validating you, I guess it validated again, us, me. So it worked the same way again. And you're here local. Jake lives about an hour from me, and Jake's got a couple young kids. I was sick, so it hasn't been easy lately. And that led to Jen being close and allowing, we don't always get to spend a lot of time in these haunted buildings together, but when we're spending, Jen and I, we're being able to spend quality time, and we're validating things that Jake and I had done, and I had done by myself for years. So it's an awesome part to the team. But what's your take, Jen, on, I know you've got a personal history with Wilmington. You feel like you were drawn back to the town after you didn't even live here. So tell me about that real quick.
Well, when I first started coming down to Wilmington, because I had friends who lived here, and I kind of just fell in. Teenager. I'm not gonna, tell my age now, but I'm obviously much older. So yeah, I always wanted to move back to come here, to live here, and finally, probably was almost 4 years ago now, I was finally able to move here and be right by the river. And there's just something about this area. Again, the history, it's almost like it's locked in time, which is awesome. Yeah. And when you look at the limestone, the water, the train tracks, it's kind of got everything going on for it.
Well, that's a good question, or a good observation, and that leads me to my next question. And we're all out of towners, really. We haven't always been here, my wife has. What do you think it is that makes this? Because am I wrong? Am I wrong to say this is a congested paranormal area? I mean, it's a huge amount of paranormal activity.
It's a highway for sure.
It is.
What draws that? You think it is the river and the limestone?
I think that helps a lot with it, and especially, and then you add the trains in everywhere, that kinetic energy going on. It's an energy pot. So I think things just happen here, and a lot of things, it does feel like with the paranormal aspect, again, that things are frozen in time here. Why exactly, we may never know, but we all feel that, and we all know it.
Yeah, it's like it's layered, and I've talked about that, and Mary
Mhm.
Marshall will talk about that over time. But I really think we have different layers. That's why the paranormal activity is high, but it's not easy to figure out sometimes, because sometimes you're in one layer of it, and next time you're in a different layer of it. I know that. I just feel it for a fact, and you've picked up on that too.
Right.
I think Jake has too,
Yeah,
because
I feel like you know, all the spirits and everybody, they gotta definitely share in our feelings with the area. I mean, we find it beautiful. We're attracted to it. We love the layout of it, the history of it. I mean, just coming in and looking at that layout of that area, it's remarkable. I mean, it's breathtaking. Who wouldn't find that attractive, you know? So, I
Right.
mean, I'd imagine if I passed on, that's probably one of the places that I would want to come back and spend some time at. I mean, when you go to the Historical Society and you look at all the old pictures and you see all the things, the activities they had going on back in the day, like in the 30s, 40s,
yeah.
50s, they had incredible events going on then, you know? And I imagine a lot of people turned out.
Well, I think
Just by the pictures, you could say that a lot of
Yeah.
people did.
yeah.
So, I mean, it was definitely something special for a lot of people. Maybe not so much now, but back then, every town around here was a lot more, you know, gleaming and glamorous than it is now. So for me, I feel like, you know, why wouldn't they want to be there? It's a phenomenal place. I would want to be there.
Yeah, part of it, and they have been here. Like
Right.
the French were here early, and not only that, the animals were here. We're here about 10,000 head of bison in the Wilmington area.
Right.
The French
The
settlers.
natives owned it. I mean, that place was packed with Native Americans for a reason,
Yeah.
you know.
Different.
They had first dibs on all this prime land, and they picked that land for a reason.
Yeah, and Jake, it's multiple tribes and different things. Also, it's like as a gathering place, like you said, it almost
Right.
like it was
Yeah.
somewhere special.
Right.
And it always has been, or something, and maybe that transfers to the spirit world, and we just think it's ordinary, but it's not, and it is a pretty nice, special little town anyway. But
It is, yeah.
but yeah, it's I think it's maybe more special than people can imagine. So thanks, Darren, for joining. Carol, Michelle, um, whoever's on the stream. These are also going to be available on your local podcast. I believe they already are. So you'll be able to catch this on all the formats of podcast at a later date, if that's how you choose to air it or listen to it. So, Jen, we got what was our best? What was the thing that you most enjoyed so far, or the most? Was it validation of some things that I did? I mean, you were seeing and knowing some things, and we were able to validate some things over time. Not only those first things. Is it the validation, or the experiences in Wilmington that stand out, or both?
I honestly think it was more finding a kinship with the both of you. You know, finding others who wanted to seek that out and find the truth of what lies after. Not feeling so alone and being so interested in that, you know, eternal question.
Well, yeah, I think you're an essential part of the growth of the team. I really think you were the next dimension as far as the growth. I think it helps all three of us. Again, you're talking about something that's interwoven. We all three are stronger. Step, you know, now that we know each other, and definitely together we're stronger.
Oh, definitely.
Which is amazing. And again, folks, there's more people been involved than what you're going to see tonight. And I can't name all the names, but we'll get to it over time. Business owners, John Persick, shout out to John Persick here in town, the alderman.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Great guy.
He's been helping us out, and we've been helping, and we have been asked to do a public investigation there and help raise some money. And I told him we would help him based on COVID next year. You know, we figured this thing out. So it's neither here nor there, but we have been asked to come back in and hold another public event, and the trust and honor that I'm trusted, and to be trusted, I feel honored. So I'm throwing that out there, guys. So I want to bring in now, I got one more guest in chat tonight, and You can hear me there, Stacy? I'm getting ready to unmute you and put you in. Okay. Um, this young lady came to one of our events, Jake. Maybe our first one, Stacy did.
Yeah.
I hit it off with her right away. She's a photographer, among other things. She's a mom and does a million things, and an artist. So, but the photography kind of hit me, and I hit it off with her. And we went to the cemetery and took some pictures, and I caught her up on the story of the boys. And then she works at a building downtown or down in Wilmington, the Milltown Market. So I'm going to bring in right now into the stream Stacy Legg. I'll unmute you first and count her down. We'll see if this holds together with four of us. Oh my goodness.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi.
That's a motley crew. All right. So Stacy, you came to the first event, didn't you?
Yes, yeah, the one at
You were
the
one of the first people actually to get tickets, I believe. First three out of the first three, probably. And I'm friends with those people now. They got a hold of me. It's still Carrie Anderson, just to name one of them. But so that's cool how I made friendships through doing a public event that I can still hold today. But Stacy, you came to the event. Me and you kind of hit it off. I was like, "Hey, you want to shoot some photography and hang out?" And you were like, "Hey, yeah, this is kind of my gig." Are you from around this area, Stacy?
I grew up in Braidwood.
In Braidwood, so you would be the most local person of the group, basically. Although Jen's been here and back.
I have a bunch of relatives who live in Wilmington.
No, I've been here about a decade only, but so you attended a public event down there, and then what'd you think of that when we did the public event?
Oh, I thought it was great. I had fun. I've always been interested in stuff, and then when I met you, I got to really go out and, do more of it, and I found out some, things myself that I didn't know that I could do or whatever.
Yeah, we put and I don't want to talk out of line, but we found out that you may have family members come visit you sometimes, which you thought you had, and we've been able to help with data that concerns that. So it's been an awesome journey back and forth with you personally too, and then as a team when we've joined together. Now you work at Milltown Market Antique Mall. That's one of your jobs. It's not your only job.
One of many.
Many. I can't go through all that. It's a whole nother show, all the stuff you do. Is it judo or taekwondo? What are you doing now?
I do taekwondo and I do choreo gumdo.
There you go. She wears many hats. But working at the Milltown Market, it used to be the lumber yard in Wilmington. It's by the
sawmill.
It's right near where the railroad station was. They tore down years ago. So it's right by the railroad that Jen talks about. And it's right by, there's a power cell tower down at that end of town too. And the river's right there. Now you were kind of having experiences there before I even met you.
Yeah, before I even went to the first event, I was already having experiences there. Yeah. So that's when I met you. I was like, hey, I got somewhere for you to go.
And we came in, and again, it's like Jen said before, it seems to be layers, because it seems to move around as far as it's nothing you can predict or seem like you can put a thumb on. And we've tried, but sometimes we may be in this layer and sometimes we may be in that layer. One of the crazy things we had was the response that night. We had the interaction, and then the interaction left. This is an investigating the Milltown. And we asked where that spirit went that was interacting with us, and they said Europe.
Yeah.
And then I said, how did you get to Europe from here? Is there a vortex here? And it said gate, didn't it?
Yeah.
Instantaneously. So, which went right along with some of the theories I'd already started developing in town. So you do photography. Anything caught anomaly wise. I think you captured a picture at the Historical Society of Jake. It was kind of.
Yeah, one of Jake. Yeah, kind of a cool one. I had gone on a ghost hunt before I met you. I think I showed you those pictures where it was with my cousin, and there later when we looked at them, there was the apparition sitting behind her that we didn't even realize that was there.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
Yes, you had picked up some stuff that was abnormal or paranormal in some photography before. Have you had an interaction with spirit? Had you thought anything as a kid growing up, or any activities that you can kind of remember? Or
Oh yeah, for as long as I can remember, I've always seen things, and and then as I got older, and I've started doing this, I was like, ah, a lot of things have clicked and made sense from when I was younger. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and you two might not know. I've spent a little more time with her at the Milltown, but that's when we kind of the activity level picks up around Stacy. So it can be dormant for me, but then Stacy comes in and it'll pick up.
They like me.
We finally, well, part of it is we think one of the spirits likes her anyway, just drawn to her. But that's when we started to realize maybe she had somebody, a family member, hanging with her at times too, coming to visit, because we documented that, and it seemed to be positive response in that manner. A past family members. So always not the sensitivity between us four. I love it because this isn't always an easy topic, and we have much respect for it, and we have much respect for each other and each other's feelings. And that was, guys, in today's world, it's hard to find that, and I appreciate you guys being a part of that with me, because I couldn't take it anywhere. It had to be this way or no way. And if I wouldn't have found you three, we wouldn't have got this far. So, but we've investigated Milltown probably, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. I don't know, 6.
I worked there today, and I had my spiritist thing going, trying at the end of the day with my friend Kasha, and I was getting responses.
Nice.
Yeah, that place.
And I was getting the one that always likes to pet my hair. Somebody there likes to rub my hair. It's crazy.
Oh man, you got so many fans.
Right.
He's always
borderline creepy too.
I think Fred is frozen.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Usually his connection goes on and out. Well, anyways, yeah. Milltown for me, I mean, I've only been there, I think, maybe twice, and each time we had a great turnout. The first time I went there, we did an initial walkthrough, and it was kind of back in that military where all the military stuff is in the back, where I kind of got some feelings, And then he took me upstairs over to like where you go up, where the main stair is, you go left. And for whatever reason, we were hanging out on the right there, but I was feeling more stuff kind of over on to where it's more open.
There's a lot of stuff like Gary's dog, Archie, like the Christmas room, which is to the right. He won't even go in there. Archie is like, and if I go in there, he'll pace outside the door like he's get out of there, come back out, and it's pretty crazy.
It's funny you say that, because when I first met Fred and he was talking and he said, "Do you know Milltown Market?" And I'm like, "Yeah, there's something wrong with the Christmas room." And he's like, "Yeah."
His jaw dropped.
Because I could never go in there for some reason. Something about it.
Yeah, I have not felt anything negative anywhere in that building, or felt like anywhere that I couldn't be or I couldn't.
Right.
I've always
well, I mean, they know you too. Obviously, they like you.
I think, I think because I'm there so much that,
Right. It's like their family.
Yeah, I mean, they're attracted to your energy as well. A lot of people bring different things to the table. One person can go into a place and everything will go awry, and one person can go in there and it'll settle things down. And that's just, the two different things and two types of people that come to the paranormal world. And I found out, whenever we go on investigations, and I got severe post-traumatic stress and stuff like that, I'm always stressed out. I'm always high strung. So I got to do a lot of grounding, even before I go investigations, I got to ground myself. I got to bring all that negativity down, because I don't want, to trigger the wrong things, or I don't want to bring the wrong energy into a place that definitely doesn't need it, that isn't, too fond of maybe that type of energy. And I realized that when I go around people who have abilities, I have a tendency to kind of make people like nervous. They can almost feel my energy, when I'm in the room and stuff like that. And right off the bat, a lot of people just know that I've been through a lot. Fred and I went to, with Aaron Shriver up in Antioch. We were doing a event up in Antioch, and we're walking by these psychic guys who were just there talking. And one guy just walked right by me and stopped. And he touched my shoulder and he says, "I just got to tell you, everything's going to be all right." And I'm like, he goes, "You know what I'm talking about." He's like, "Calm down, man." He's like, "It's going to be all right." And I just walked away, and Fred just grabbed my shoulder. He's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "Oh my Lord, I got to get out of here."
Great.
That's awesome.
I'm very aware on, the things that we bring to the table as far as investigations go. And if I'm not feeling it, or if I don't feel like I can maybe handle this night, I have no problem calling Fred and telling him, "Listen, you're on your own tonight. I'm just not in the right mood." Because, I got 3 kids, I got 1 kid on the way, got a pretty busy life. And sometimes at the end of the day, when it's time to investigate, I'm like mentally drained, physically drained. And it's like, oh, here we got to go to a, maybe possibly 8-hour investigation tonight. And, bringing that type of mentality, it almost makes things not happen,
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I feel like when I'm feeling bummed out and I'm like, oh, I don't even want to be there, that maybe I'm not helping things to happen at all, because it seems like
they can feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Fred's pretty keen on that too. And that he does a lot of the same as far as preparing himself a lot before an investigation. Fred, he's pretty, he's crosses his T's and dots his I's. He's that type of guy.
For sure.
And, yeah. So I feel like with us, and as long as we keep that mentality and we keep that type of perspective going in investigations, we're always going to have a pretty good turnout, no matter where we go.
Right. And that's what I like about everyone too, is everybody's so respectful.
Right.
You don't always find that in groups.
Right. And that's the first thing I noticed about Fred, especially when I met him at Ashmore, was the way he asked questions, the way he talked, the way he carried himself. I'm like, I could be friends with that guy.
Exactly.
And everybody that he's introduced me to has been the same exact way. You two especially. I'm like, wow, man, this guy will not bring anybody into my life that I know I'm not going to mesh well with, And I think Fred's pretty good at he's a very good people person, and you can tell,
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I don't know what went on.
Even though he left us now.
So it's turned into our kind of podcast right now.
We don't need Fred, no.
Yeah, I know he just really wanted to go over, all the special things that go on in Wilmington. And being that we've all spent a good amount of time there, he really wants to bring this to the world. He wants people to be curious about Wilmington, and maybe even stop at Wilmington and start asking questions. There's nothing in Wilmington that people can't do that really we do there. There's a lot of places that we go to and investigate that anybody could probably go in there and, maybe ask or something, and it would probably happen. Or maybe they could tag along with us or something like that. But
stuff in Milltown has been getting crazier and crazier lately. I've been seeing so much.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot.
I'd imagine with a lot of the people.
With my own eyes.
Really?
Yes.
That's incredible.
One day I was talking to Kasha, and she was standing at the thing, and birds get in there sometimes, So I thought this bird was coming up, and I went to say, oh no, there's another bird. But I looked, and I'm like, and I look again, and it went up over her head. It was the size of a baseball. And then it was kind of over her head, and then went up into the flag, and then it went up and disappeared.
Wow.
And I told Fred right away. I'm like, you got to come here right now. He's like, I
Right.
can't. I'm like, you won't believe what I just seen.
Wow, that's incredible.
So we need to go back in there again. I
Yeah,
think
and like we talked about the entire town, I'd bet my bottom dollar to say that you could probably go in any building in that town and you would experience,
Yeah.
given enough time,
I
you'd
agree,
experience
yeah.
something for sure. And there he is.
Hey, there he is.
He's sweating right
Aw.
now. And we kept it going for you, man. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
So we've been keeping it up for you.
I can't hear him.
Are you muted, Fred?
Are you muted?
Yeah.
Okay, you there?
There you
Yeah.
are.
Okay, now I'm back in full force. My new webcam just died. I had to grab the old one, switch it over, and then I lost
Ah,
my mouse wouldn't run, so I couldn't change the camera in the stream. So that's exactly what I was going to say, though. Stacy, was bring up the anomalies that you've actually seen some anomalies here in town with your eyes.
I've seen some really cool things in the past few months.
Yeah, definitely received some crazy information. You guys, thanks for that was perfect. And you guys shouldn't give me so much credit, but to lead a bunch of people, including and with you three as to part of the tight bunch, to lead a bunch of people on this journey means the world to me. It was about finding answers, not finding my place, and now I found my place. So I appreciate you guys being there for me and being a part of the team. Everything you do, the time you spend away from your family, the money you spend, or like I said, everything. It means everything to me. So, and I couldn't have done this without you guys. But to sum it up, I mean, Wilmington, they're definitely going. Do you think it's a vortex? Do you think it's super powered? Jake Rodriguez.
I think it's a vortex for sure. I mean, you got a lot of the low line water there that's rippling through the entire town. We got a lot of energy sources there. Got a lot of weird things that go on there that we capture on camera that you just can't explain, that move around and are pretty much stationary, but different places every night. I'm fairly convinced it's a vortex for sure. Yeah.
Jen Ritter, what causes all the activity?
I would have to agree that it's some kind of vortex of energy that's going on where, maybe they are able to use this energy to manifest more than they're able to in other places. I've always kind of also questioned the ley line thing. Not quite sure how to find it out. That would also is intriguing to me to find out if we sit on a ley line.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
And that's possible if you look at that story with the 10,000 head of bison that I talked about earlier, and of course that kind of wildlife would have brought Native American activity to that area to feed and same for the same thing. Did somebody know that? Is there has there been proof of that over time? Just because those animals knew together there. So,
Right.
Stacy, is it all in our head, or is this is Wilmington really that haunted? Are we crazy?
I agree with
water.
both of them. I've seen way too much, and it's a pretty cool place. Like Jake said earlier, I think you could go into any building in that town and something happen.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, and that's really how it's been. I actually have data that proves that, and you all know that. Every building we've gone in, almost everyone. I have to say everyone, even the library, which is a couple blocks away, and Milltown Market's a couple blocks away. But what started as me talking to business owners to gather the data has been turned into relationship building, as Jake and I spoke with. It's turned into stepping back in time with Jen Ritter and experiencing feeling these things that actually happened here. And then working with Stacy, really just puts the, you know, icing on the cake, because it's two people. We're really, you know, if we can see it, if we can do it, then it's out there. It's really, there's no reason. We're pretty just normal people, you know. I think that's what's good about all of us. We all got our strengths, but we're all just average folk, and there's no reason this should be happening to us. It's happening in Wilmington, Illinois is the reason. It's not us. And we're together for a reason, but this town's not haunted because of us. So,
No.
No.
You never know. I mean,
no, we didn't bring all that. So thanks, guys, for holding it together during the brief interlude there. You did a great job, Jake. See, you should get your own time. No, I'll bring you on. You can be on and help interview Mary Marshall. And this software allows us to put 5 people on.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Or four. So we're maxed out tonight, but it did work. And it was user error or my webcam error that failed us tonight. So thanks for holding on while I recouped. And guys, like I said, let me check in the chat. Glenn Morgan, thanks for checking in. Michael Sickler, Darren, Carol, everybody
Darren.
that listens. Yep, everybody that listens later. Again, this will be live streaming or be on the podcast, all your podcasts, Spotify and Apple podcasts and all that. So listen, if you listen later, thank you. Guys, I can't wait till our next adventure.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks for everything. Each one of you, like I said, is personal. I think you all know that to me. I try to show that. But and the group thing is just the way it's coming together. Guys, we can hit it hard. Maybe we can really get to the bottom of some of this.
Yeah.
We've got some new equipment, and Jen and Jen's and Stacy's abilities. So, well, we're going to go ahead. It's 8:58. I'm going to go ahead and release off of here. Stacy, thanks for joining us. Anything else?
thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
helping tell the
Everybody
story.
have a good night.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys have a good night too.
Bye.
Bye.
Jen, so much appreciate your time and the relationship we've built. And Jake just jumped out of there. I was going to hold him on a second.
Aw,
But,
Jake.
yeah, it's really, and I've got my reasons that I needed Jake. Jake got his reasons that he needed me. And same with me and you. It's been crazy the whole time. The whole thing's crazy. So, Jen, I appreciate you coming on, and I will talk to you soon.
Oh, thanks for having me. Bye.
All right. Talk soon. All right, guys, we made it through another episode live with Spirit Recon right here on the Afterlife Network. Tonight, you got to meet some of the faces of Spirit Recon and hear the stories on what makes what we believe Wilmington, Illinois, one of America's most haunted small towns. Please, if you stop by later and watch this, say hi in chat and I can respond. Thanks for all that joined us. Stay tuned next week as I bring Thanksgiving Day. We're going to do live investigation special right here on the Afterlife Network. See ya. Love and peace.